Okay, so kind of changed my mind. I'm going to also now, since I got it all out, I'm going to put in the new sway bar. Looks pretty straightforward. Not a lot to it. I looked at it. It looks simple. So this is a Roadmaster. Roadmaster installation instructions, and this is a 2005 Sprinter van, Dodge Sprinter. The bar is a lot thicker than the original bar. There's the new bar. Here's one of the parts. Here's the other bracket. Stick this off to the side. And I just did super springs, as you can see, up inside here. And I had the kit I was going to put on probably later, but it's all jacked up right now. It looks pretty straightforward. Might as well do it now since I got one tire off. Oh my gosh. Okay. So under here, there's the original stock sway bar right here. Goes down. The only thing I need to figure out how to do it is they have these special clips that they're like zip ties, but they're allowed to move on this mechanism so they don't damage the cables. So I may have to figure that out later, buying something here and then securing this to this so this is allowed to move. I'm going to see if I can obviously push this clip and get these to come out, but I don't think if I do, the new one will physically fit. But I may have to use another zip tie and then I can figure it out. Anyway, so there's the original factory bar, and just go connect. So all I got to do is, the instructions say, where's my finger? There we go. Is it wants these off. Once I take these off, then it wants me to pull that out. Once that bracket is out, then it wants this installed first, this piece, this back piece right here. And then after that, then the other piece goes on. So it wants that on first. Remove this, and then remove this, and then basically just slide the new bar in. It looks a lot thicker. I'm hoping it'll help. That trip to Florida was scary, so with the super springs, sumo springs, front and rear, and a new sway bar, that's all I can do. And obviously we're getting new shocks, because the shocks were supposed to have been replaced. They didn't replace them. They said they did, so that's another story right now. Anyway, I'm going to pop this back and hopefully you can kind of see what I'm doing. I don't know how to figure this out. I mean, I don't know. There's nobody else here to hold the video camera, so I may just start it back up once I'm getting closer to being done and show you. The instructions are like 5 steps. Remove the factory bolts. Don't take off the upper bracketing. Apply grease and put it in. That's all it says. So, yeah, here we go. Alright, so this is the stock sway bar, and that's the replacement. So it's much thicker. That's the model. Anyway, so I had to move a few brackets. It looks straightforward. It is. It's just had these pneumatic lines, or yeah, I'm sorry, not pneumatic, hydraulic lines for the brakes that get kind of in the way. So they only move so far. So anyway, I had to loosen up also my bump stock support to slide it out of the way to get the bolts out. Otherwise the bolts won't come out, because of course they come out this way and not that way. So got that out. Now I'm going to get the new one in. Oh, other thing you'll need, make sure you get Loctite. Should be the blue style, which is removable. Don't get the red, you'll be in trouble. And then next step is I put these on first, different than the old ones. And once these are on, then I got to get it up inside there, and then the bushings go on first, obviously. But these go on first, support it, and then lift it into place, and then pivot it up and clean up a few things, and yeah, we'll see. Okay, so it's been a while since I started. Once I went to put that on, I thought it was going to be straightforward, and it wasn't, of course. Very few things are in life. The bar itself, physically, fit the way it should. However, what they didn't anticipate for is these brackets now. The original brackets for the original sway bar were up here, meaning the bar was up here. This entire brake system can no longer go there anymore. there's a bracket in the side of this actual frame for this support right here, so it doesn't damage anything. So since you don't have access to that, you have to manipulate it. So I tried it under, but the tension was so tight that I was worried the brake line itself would break and it wouldn't fit. There was just too much bulk right here. Same for the other side. So what I wound up doing is I had to do 3 or 4 different fits each time. You had to take the bracketing off of the top part that holds the brake system in. Take this piece off, cut some zip ties, lay it up. So you take that bracket off so it's loose as it gets. Doesn't get very loose. And then from that, here, let me see if I can put this light. Then from that, once that's loose, back over here, you then have a little bit of play. And then I put the bar up and tried it, and then the bolts go opposite. So every time the long bolt goes this way, so you always have to pull it out. Then I got everything to fit, and then both sides fit okay. And what I did is I took this and just raised this entire arm, because there's a bracket arm that fits right here on the side. Hold on. Here. This arm. So it originally goes in the bottom bolt on that side where there's a notch in this frame piece. So it doesn't move. You can see there's a little notch right there. So what I did is I just manipulated it up here so it doesn't hit anything, because when it goes down, this bar isn't going to raise up, the bar is going to go down a little bit if need be. So this is physically holding this off of this bar at all. There were some clips here that originally clipped into the side that held it onto the sway bar, which allowed rotation movement. But I don't need those because I got it up higher now, so I took those clips off. The other one's on the other side, it's just floating. You can see it's sitting over there. It's just that little clip. It's just kind of floating. Yeah, I know it doesn't focus very well. So it's that little loose clip right there. It used to attach to the original sway bar, which was about, not quite half the thickness, but it was almost just much thinner. So then after that, the other hard part is these brackets are kind of crappy, and I'll say why. You have to get 11/16. In the book says something different. The book says these are 7/16 bolts. They're not. They're 11/16. The problem is you need to use a deep socket, which wouldn't be a big deal. But the outside edge, because they didn't take the time to have these recessed off to make them fit better, or make the bracket bigger, either way, would have made it easier. So basically, you got to really be careful. Don't tighten them both. Get one sort of snug, leave it loose, because you have to lift this up and down. And then you have to pick which side you want tight. You can't get both of them tight because you can't get your socket all the way on there in order to get this clearance right here, because then they flatten, as you notice. These threads flatten out on the top of the nuts. So you don't get a full bite. And I mean, I got them tight. It was a lot of work because you have to keep pushing on the back and almost tap it with a hammer to drive it in these areas. And a standard, 11/16 socket. I thought, well, maybe I'll go get a new one because mine was damaged, I thought, but no. Brand new socket, didn't matter. So all they had to do is give more relief on those brackets, and then you could fit it in there easier. That they could work on. Very frustrating. I spent like 4 hours on this now, trying to get this thing inside here because the brake lines, and they said it was a direct fit. So anyway, and I also had to loosen this. You have to loosen this and pivot it because these bolts come out this way. That's what the bump stock hits. And as you notice, you can't clear. So you're going to have to loosen these. Not a lot, just loosen it, spin it whatever direction you need, get your bolts out, and then make sure you put it all back and tight when you're done. So there's a lot to do under here. It's not just simple 5-minute pull this off, put the new one on. Give yourself at least 2 hours. I do recommend taking off the tires. Otherwise you got to go back in, but then again, I got a generator right here, so there's just not a lot of space for me to get under here. If I didn't have a generator, probably be a little bit easier, but anyway, always give yourself more time because you never know what you're going to run into. So anyway, that's it for that install, and I'm going to put the tire back on. Finally done back here, and I'm going to put my sumo springs in the front now.